Matthew Moniz here, and in 3 days, 72 hours, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is going to be announced. I'm super excited. I really loved the Note 7 until that certain incident, so I can only imagine how much better the Galaxy Note 8 is going to be. Now, there's a bunch of you out there who've asked me, Matt, should I get the S8 Plus? Should I wait for the Note 8? What's the difference? So this video is for you. I'm going to explain some of the differences, and by the end of this video, hopefully we have it all figured out. So the first thing I want to talk about is the design. So imagine the Note 8 being a slightly bigger S8 Plus. The main difference is that the S8 Plus is a little bit more curved and edgy, and the Note 8 will be a little bit more boxy, and that's to accommodate the S Pen. There's going to be a slightly better screen to bezel ratio, so more screen, slightly less bezel, and on the back, you're going to notice something a little bit different. There's 2 cameras instead of 1. For the first time, Samsung is offering 2 cameras on their Galaxy lineup. So it's going to be very similar to the iPhone 7 Plus. You're going to have a 12 megapixel sensor or shooter that does your regular photos, and the second 12 megapixel sensor will be a telephoto lens, allowing you to zoom up to 3 times. That's more than the iPhone 7 Plus and OnePlus 5. So Samsung wants to make this phone all about the camera. Unfortunately, the fingerprint scanner is still in the same place, but they moved it over just a little bit more to the right so that you can get your finger to it a little bit easier. But I just wish they put it below the camera. It would have made life so much better. Obviously, all the standard stuff like water resistance, a micro SD card slot, an audio jack are all coming with the phone. I kind of hope Samsung puts dual speakers on this thing because it's bigger. I know they're going to put one on the bottom, and I'm really crossing my fingers that they'll utilize the earpiece as a second speaker. Now let's talk about that beautiful display. It's going to be 6.3 inches, 2960 by 1440 with that new aspect ratio of 18 by 5 by 9. Either you love it or hate it, but it does allow you to hold the phone much easier because the phone becomes a lot more narrow and a lot less wide. Now, this display technology is probably not going to be significantly better than what's on the S8 Plus. Maybe slightly brighter, maybe slightly better colors, but it's not going to be a huge difference. You can also expect all the standard features like facial recognition and iris recognition to be present. Hopefully they've improved it. It's kind of decent on the S8 Plus. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they need to improve it because it's rumored that Apple is going to have their own version with the iPhone 8 when it comes out in the near future. So let's move on to the specs. And generally speaking, the Note lineup usually has the best specs out of all the Galaxy devices released in that year. The specs are going to be pretty much the same. There's only a few differences, like it's going to have a Snapdragon 835. Instead of 4 gigabytes of RAM, it's going to have 6. There's going to be maybe an Exynos 8895 variant for certain regions, possibly here in Canada, crossing my fingers. So in terms of performance, I don't expect to see a huge difference, but the one thing that Samsung is going to improve on is their software experience. It is rumored that Samsung experience has been completely tweaked to be a lot more efficient, a lot more optimized, and a lot faster. So I'm pretty happy with the S8. I think it's fast right now, but it's obviously not the snappiest phone, but much better than previous generations. So if they can make the Note 8 even faster, I think it's going to be a very great device to use. So let's talk about battery life. And we know what happened last year. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but you can expect this year for Samsung to be a little bit more conservative. In fact, it's rumored and leaked that the Note 8 will come with a 3300 milliamp battery, which is actually smaller than the 3500 milliamp battery that's inside the S8 Plus. As long as they can optimize the new version of the Samsung experience to be just as good or even almost as good as the S8 Plus, I'll totally be happy because the battery life on the S8 Plus is fantastic. Now, that pretty much wraps up the major differences between both of these phones. So the Note 8 only has a slightly better and bigger screen. You're going to have dual cameras, with the main camera probably being just as good as the S8 Plus. Of course, you have the S Pen functionality, and the specs in terms of performance are probably only going to be slightly better with the extra 2 gigabytes of memory. So should you buy the Note 8 if you're up for a smartphone right now? To be honest, unless you use the S Pen, I feel there's no reason to buy the Note 8. The S8 Plus will still offer just as good of an experience for the price, and you're going to be saving some money because a lot of carriers right now are discounting it as we speak. So I hope that helps for some of you out there who are looking at these 2 smartphones as their next device. Let me know in the comments if it did. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.